If you were to experience hauntings and things like that, do you have any personal idea of why they happen? I know there's residual and there's intelligent and things like that, but as far as why they're occurring, what makes them occur and things like, do you have any personal opinions or ideas on that you've sat down and thought? You know, I'm sure that everybody on the team has a different idea. There's no solid, concrete thing. I know that there's protocols in place for doing investigations, and there's certain categories of it. For example, residual hauntings, intelligent hauntings, things like that. There's a lot of different explanations that people try and come up with. Maybe they're trapped on a certain plane. Maybe it's energy recycling itself, like a thumbprint left over after someone dies, which would make sense in the sense of relativity, that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. But have you actually sat down and thought, well, this is my opinion, my take on why these hauntings happen, or a few different ideas for different situations and different kinds of hauntings?
Yes. Actually, because you know how we speak of like the difference between like a residual and intelligent hauntings. My personal opinion on the difference is, I mean, you could have somebody who lives in, say we investigate a house, just a normal house. You can have somebody who has some type of like traumatic experience happen in their lives. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a death. It could be maybe someone cuts their finger off in the kitchen, or just something like that, just something seriously traumatic to this person, or a bad argument between husband and wife. And it's like that negative energy imprints itself there. And so, you know, after these people can be happy and move away and, you know, whatever, and they can go on with their lives forever. And it's, you know, people who live in this house, like, you know, 30 years after that may start experiencing like something flies across the room, like a poltergeist type thing, or they start hearing like someone punches the wall or something, and that's what they're hearing over and over again. And that can be some sort of like residual thing, because it happens over and over again. And maybe it happened at 3 o'clock a.m. and then, like, you know, all this stuff starts happening every night at 3 o'clock a.m. And that's how I think about like residual hauntings. But intelligent hauntings, I believe that it doesn't matter if the person died there or not. If the spirit was, I mean, if the person in their physical body was attracted to some sort of like a house or a prison or somewhere where a lot of stuff has happened to them in their life, maybe when they die, their spirit goes back to this place because that's where they were happy, or that's where all they knew, like a prison or something. And like I said, they don't have to die there. But they go back there, and like they can communicate with you. Like you ask a question and you get an answer, like EVPs and stuff. And like we've talked about, some people can try to explain EVPs with, like, you know, you're interfering with radio frequencies and stuff, because, you know, the stuff we use is really, really high-tech stuff, and it can pick up on radio frequencies, yes, but it's hard to try to explain whenever you ask a specific question and you get a specific answer back directly after that question is asked. It's just hard to try to rule that out as, you know, radio frequencies or something.
Right. What do you think about malicious haunting? Some people, if they were to come to it from a religious standpoint, would actually say that's a demon, or that's an evil spirit, or depending on the religion, it's going to have a different name.
Yeah.
But malicious hauntings, what's your opinion on that?
My opinion on it, I don't think, God, I don't like to say it is like demonic, like stuff like that is anything demonic or anything like that. But then again, things that I've experienced personally, I've experienced some pretty intense things. So I don't really have a straight opinion on something like that. I mean, I don't know. It's just hard for me to really have an opinion on certain specific types of hauntings.
It's completely understandable as well. I mean, because people have a tendency to just label that as something. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that interests me most. It's not so much residual hauntings, but malicious, violent hauntings. It's hard to tell, because sometimes a lot of people can tell if it is a human leftover. Yeah. But there's other times when it seems like it's not so much human as it is something completely contrary to that. Yeah. So it's very interesting to think about.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, I know, I can't sit there and speak for other people, but I can't say I know for a fact that there are things that linger here that are not of this world. I can't say that I know for a fact because I haven't seen that, but I have been around places and been around people who say they have seen these things and they know these things, and there's just, they say there's a whole other reality to what we actually see here, physically see, and I mean, it's just so, it's really complicated to even try to think about, like, to even comprehend.
Do you have any examples of something that you've experienced like that on your travels?
Actually, yes. I can tell you, because a lot of stuff happened that night. Did you see the Gates to Hell episode?
No.
You haven't? Okay. Well, Dustin, we went to this place in Prague, around Prague in Czech Republic, and it was Dustin and I, and we were investigating it was the attic of this castle, and we didn't really expect to get what we got that night, but you can tell I'm terrified in the episode. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was completely terrified. But I was up there with him, and we were talking to him. You know, we obviously heard stuff in there. You know, that's why we were in there. And we were looking around, and I was like really freaked out because this attic was pitch black and there was holes. And this attic was pitch black and there was holes in the floor and everything. And we picked up a rock actually, but shortly before that I saw a shadow. It was a dark shadow and moved from one side of the room to the other in this corner. And I'm like, okay, because I automatically think my eyes are playing tricks on me.
Right.
I'm in the dark. You know, you make yourself see things. So I still was freaked out. I'm like, Dustin, I just saw that over there. And he said he saw something too, a shadow in the room. And so we heard a growl. I mean, we literally heard as if someone was right by our heads, like, growled at us. And we're like...
And that's pretty common with those types of hauntings.
Yeah.
There's always a lot of growling.
Growling and hissing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I have never heard anything like this before. So I'm about ready to, like... I'm not going to run out. Of course, I want to know what this is. So I flick on my flashlight, and I'm looking around, seeing if there's, any signs of animals or anything in the room with us. And there was no animals, no nothing. We even, like, looked down in the floorboards where there was holes, and we're like, okay, there's absolutely nothing up here. What made that growl? And we're like, so that's whenever we're, like, starting to ask questions. We're like, all right, is there someone in here? And we're asking, like, questions if it's some sort of, like, a demonic force or something. We were getting some sort of like responses and some noises and stuff. So Dustin picks up a rock and he's like, alright, I'm gonna throw a rock. Can you do the same or can you throw it back? And he throws this rock into the darkness of this room and it comes sliding back to us.
Wow.
We heard this rock, like it rolled and it stopped, and you heard the rock slide back to us, and Dustin and I jumped back and we were like, we both looked at each other like, did you just hear that? And we just, oh my god, it was definitely an experience. But from what we got, and even Barry went up there shortly after to investigate the place with Dustin, and Barry picked up on some things, and he said there's definitely something of not of this world. I mean, and he's even said he's been in situations where he's experienced things that were not of this world. And that's why I said I can't speak for others, because I know there are people who don't believe in things like that. And I'm still 50-50 because I haven't had any physical proof of seeing something like that.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying I want to go look for it, but...
It's not something I think anybody should go look for.
No, definitely not. Definitely.
But that's really interesting. I haven't seen that episode yet, but
Yeah.
I'm going to
It's a good
go
one.
home and check it out. Yeah.
It's a good one.